Hey, welcome. This is The Process. My name is Dr. John Bush. We're continuing our lesson plan here. We're on lesson 65. Conference level NFC. We did the AVG last lesson. This is again looking at how teams use their positions from 2020 compared to a 5-year average, and you generate differences and everything. I try to do is to help you win your drafts. It's a video textbook, I believe, is how you could call that. There's elements for redraft and aspects for dynasty as well. So I suggest for sure you go back to lesson 64 to kind of get a feel. I've spent a lot of time on positional usages. Again, this is my process. Hopefully, some of what I've putting out there is something you'll adopt in your journey, but at least you get to see what I'm thinking. I think how a team uses its positions is critical for a foundation of all your drafting. Okay, I really do. I would find it hard to draft without thinking about how teams have used quarterbacks, tight ends, running backs, etc. in the past, right? Quick example, in Baltimore, Dobbins is a good RB. I just think he's in a team that's using more of a rushing quarterback, short tight end passing kind of situation. So I'm not sure we'll see the best out of him. I'm not saying you won't get points. It's just kind of what's the optimal, and there are certain teams that you think players would do better in. And I think people speculate about that all the time. Okay, let's continue here. This is the NFC East here. Conference team position, 5-year position, 20-year, and then the differences. And again, we've shown this individually, but now we're looking in a conference. Remember, these teams play each other twice at least during the regular season, so you can get a feel for, as they play each other, what each team is kind of bringing to the table. And I think Dallas is going to be bringing passing to the table. Without Dak, they really relied a lot on their wide receivers. You would think that with Dak back, that the wide receivers and the running backs, as Elliott, will balance back to what we've seen previously. You would think that there'd be a little bit more balance to Dallas, but right now that's how it was. The Jets really have no big advantages. They're a passing team, 38%. It's close to 40, so I'm liking that. But they really didn't change much off their 5-year averages. If you look at the differences here, not really much difference. They use the tight end pretty good, but not the best in this conference, but still pretty good. RBs, with Barkley healthy, maybe that increases, but I don't know at this point. QB, Philadelphia has been bringing QB and tight end to the table. That's been their game. That's how they've earned their living. 34% of wide receivers is getting on the low side and underutilizing their RBs. So it's kind of like they're a one-trick pony of passing to the tight ends. Not sure what we see this year We definitely see some drops, though, last year in tight end and running backs, and the wide receivers bumped up a little bit, as well as the quarterback play. Uh, so it's a little drifting from their 5-year average, and you wonder, are they, the running backs going to get a little better than they were in 2020? And will the tight ends ever go back to 22% versus 19? I think people in drafts right now are kind of running away from the tight ends in Philadelphia, whereas in previous years they've really been drafting early. So we'll see what that is. I think there's still potential there. If you look at the 5-year average, Philadelphia owns the advantage in this conference, 22% of a 5-year average right here. Okay, 15, 15, 12. So even if they drop to 19, they're still going to have that tight end advantage, and I think they're going to use that in the conference games. So I think the tight ends, at least a third of the show for the season, are going to get lots of play. So don't be fooled by ADPs. I still think within the conference we're going to get a lot of plays there. Washington discovered its running 6%. Gibson, McKissick, looks to me like that's what we can expect. They did get Fitzpatrick. He's a gunslinger. Maybe he opens up and aids the tight end and the wide receiver right now. Maybe, but if that happens, then the running backs will decline. So I'm not sure the balance we're going to see with Washington. I still think they're going to use their running backs as a lever in their conference battles. At least that's kind of what it looks to me. Okay, so that's that look kind of at the charts here. Here's the visual looking at the 5 years green, 2020 was purple, and then the red is the differences, and Dallas increased their wide receivers. Philadelphia went high in QB and wide receivers, and Washington really brought home their running backs. Nothing makes me believe that some of these trends here won't continue in the conference games. So I think you can think about the ADPs of some of these, favored positions for 2021, and I think Philadelphia with the tight ends, I think there was something going on there. I would definitely pay attention to that. If you look, here's the Philadelphia right here, 5-year, right there. So if you look across, nobody else uses their tight ends as well as Philly, even if they did decline. And I think I made that point before. Okay, moving on. NFC North, Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. Chicago brings tight ends and wide receivers, almost 40%. So they're going to be doing some serious passing. They did decline in rushing, 4%. I think they're going to be steady, and in that, I think if you look at the average 5 years, they declined last year. So I guess if they do get back, then the tight end might pay the price. I know that supposedly they're going to have some good tight ends, and they bring Rudolph in. I think they did. And so maybe they're signaling they want to continue that trend. It went up 3%, the tight ends for Chicago, and they earn number one status with tight ends, tied with Detroit in conference games, and they earn number one in wide receivers. So I guess the question for me is Montgomery, does he move forward or stay about the same? I think at least you could say move forward a little bit because there is some room back to 29%. Curious to see how Chicago shakes out. This could change a little bit. Detroit, Stafford's gone, and with Stanford there, TJ went up 3%. I think they're going to try to maintain that. 37%, it's not bad for passing. They really look like a balanced team if you look across here in 2020. And probably not going to drift too far from these numbers in conferences. I think Detroit will definitely be using their tight end, and TJ may be worth your time as well in conference games. Green Bay, the quarterback was the big show, Rodgers, but if he's not there, and who knows right now, everybody's speculating. The tight end did increase, but with a new quarterback, Love or whoever it's going to be, I think we can probably say that the wide receivers would go down. So people are really being a little scared of Devontae Adams and some of the other players. I think their uncertainty is higher than we've seen, and I just don't know how this resolves. I'm taking it cautious in my best balls, taking Devontae Adams. I've been able to pick him up in the second round and ignoring a first round grab for him. So I've been doing that. Minnesota, Dalvin Cook, pretty much the show there. Thielen, you expect will do about what he does. I don't think the tight ends are going anywhere. So I expect a balance of rushing with a little bit of passing. So this conference to me, as I look across, seems balanced more than a lot of other conferences. So that to me makes it a little harder in conference battles. Could be more competitive. And if Rodgers doesn't go to Green Bay, I'm not sure who wins this conference. I would think Minnesota had a shot. We'll see. Maybe Chicago, Minnesota, if Rodgers is back, I believe he can eke out a conference win. Okay, I think they'll struggle, but I think that will be the case. Looking across again, Chicago with the tight ends went up. Detroit went up with RBs and tight ends. Seems reasonable. Tight ends with Tanyan went up with Green Bay, but if Rodgers is not back, was Tanyan just joined at the hip with Rodgers, or is he better than we think? Hard to tell. Running backs in Minnesota are the game there. Probably nothing greater that I can bring to the table, I guess. I think I see a lot of balance more than anything. Curious to see how this goes. I think Rodgers is the linchpin for who wins this conference. Either Green Bay wins with Rodgers, or I think it's coin toss. Probably Minnesota and Chicago. NFC South, changes here. Atlanta gave up Julio. Notice Atlanta was passing 47% is insanely good. Notice Carolina did 48%. So this is a high-flying passing conference here. And I think we'll see a lot of that again. Atlanta's trying to get their running backs going, but they declined by 3%. Tight end is the question. They did get the top tight end rookie 11% though is 5-year average. I'm not optimistic about the tight end. I think it will stay steady. So don't be surprised if you get what you get. I believe Calvin Ridley is really going to be in the top 12 wide receivers, has a shot. If Atlanta can keep at 47% usage, he's got a good shot. So that means, and everybody's going to Russell Gage and some of the other deeper plays. It seems logical to me. I can't add anything more than probably what's obvious there. Carolina, if CMC is back, I think this 3% decline will go away and will go up to 30%, 29%. I think this will decline. So Anderson, Moore, I think will lose some ground, and the tight ends will be forgotten. So I will not invest in any tight ends. So this team probably is going to get back to more of a balance. They were out of balance in 2020. You can see they were just passing because they couldn't do much else. That's understandable. So I think they can turn it on if they need to, but in conference battles, I think they're going to actually turn to CMC and rushing short passes kind of thing with some long bombs. Winston has a gunslinger history. If that's the case, then the wide receivers should go up. And again, wide receivers in this conference, it's flying high. So every conference battle is going to be passing goodness in a PPR. Tight ends, they lost Cook. Who knows what they got? I would invest in tight ends here. Kamara is probably kind of a lot like Carolina. I think this team is going to be with Winston, a lot kind of Carolina-ish of a balance. So this goes up. This maybe stays the same. Tight ends probably decline. Kind of more of lots of passing, but I think Kamara will keep them in the run game. Brady uses his tight ends. That's my bad. It should be circled right there. The best, but it's only 15%, so it's not a great deal. But 41%, still not bad. So I think Brady's going to pass. I don't think the rushing game with Jones, Fournette, and did they have Bernard? Yeah. Hard to tell. Sound like they just got some depth and want to keep the rushing going so Brady can pass. So to me, Atlanta and Tampa Bay seem passing. Carolina and New Orleans seem a little bit more balanced to that in conference games. I think Tampa Bay can eke out another conference win, but it's not like they were dominant. And to me, they weren't so dominant last year. They got through the Saints. Lucky them. We'll see what happens. And here we go. Looking at the changes, I think we went through those. New Orleans definitely with the quarterback. I think Winston moves to wide receivers up. I think CMC comes back and the RBs increase and the wide receivers drop. I think Atlanta probably is passing one-trick pony with Ridley in that. So I think it's going to be high flying there, and Brady will rely on his rushing to open up and pass. Hey, shh. So anyway, I think that's what, like I said, Brady's going to do is use the rushing to open up the pass. Okay, last conference here. NFC West, Arizona, Rams, Seattle, San Francisco. Arizona, the quarterback, what a phenom, 40% passing. So we're talking wonderful passing. A lot of mouths to feed, though, bringing in some of the people they've brought in. So I don't know how that's all going to shake out here. I think they will be given a lot of PPR base points and targets. It's just there's a lot to split. They pretty much didn't change in 2020. 40% is a nice number, but you know it's not the highest. Rams in Seattle at 41. So this is in some ways like the NFC South, a lot of high-flying passing kind of teams here. Murray also rushes, so he gets an elevated QB usage there, so that's noted at 28%. That went up 5%. The RBs went down 4%, and they really didn't address that too much. So I think it's going to be, and the tight ends have pretty much been forgotten in Arizona. So I think it's going to be a lot like the Tampa Bay strategy of rushing to set up the pass. And in the conference game, I think Murray can make the difference with his legs and rushing and can be competitive to win this conference. The Rams, Woods, Cooper Kupp, passing. Stafford is now here. He's going to help them pass. RBs, I think they went down 2%. The tight end went up 3%. So I think there's a move still to do a lot of passing. And I'm not sure the RBs are going to move up any from 23%. So I expect the Rams to pass to the tight end and the the wide receivers and the pass catching running backs. I think they'll be favored in this team. Just not sure Stanford in this conference is going to bring enough to the table for the Rams to win. I think Murray, Wilson, I just not seeing how he brings them to the conference title, NFC, division title, my bad. Seattle, Wilson throws, doesn't use his tight ends like he should. Carson runs, so a little bit more of a balanced, a lot like Arizona in that rushing to set up the pass kind of scenario. Wilson is 25%, close to Murray at 28% for the Arizona. So you can 28, 25 here. Pretty much I expect that's what we'll get again. So I think investing in pieces of the catching game in Seattle will pay dividends. I just think it's clearer who's getting the passes than in Arizona. It's a little bit more muddled in my head. San Francisco loves to run. They're going to try to continue to run, and pepper Kittle. And when they play conference, it's going to be conference ball. It's going to be Kittle, and it's going to be rushing. So, and they will throw some bombs out there to the wide receivers. But in this conference, 32% is piss poor. Let's just face it. In the conference, they are not the passing juggernaut at all. And I think the ADPs on some of the San Francisco wide receivers are lower because of that, and they should be. Not sure how the quarterback shakes out. Could be Jimmy G early, and then was it Trey Lance coming on? I think it's between Seattle and Arizona this year. I just don't think Frisco has the balanced pieces, and Stanford just can't do it all for the Rams. So I think we have the traditional fight of Arizona and Seattle again. And I think they'll be passing. You know, if one of those teams, Seattle or Arizona could figure out a tight end, that would give them an advantage going against the other. I just don't see that right now. Maybe, I don't know the drafts. I need to look a little deeper into that. But I think that's what we're going to get. Uh, Again, Arizona with the QBs went up. The Rams did use their tight ends a little more. So, having Stafford coming in is probably going to make tight ends at Rams a little bit more viable. So I wouldn't turn that away. Seattle with the passing. Yeah, wide receivers. San Francisco rushes. And I think Kittle coming back, the tight ends, I think this moves up. I think this is steady. And I think that's what you'll see for NFC West. So that's my 10-cent tour of the NFC conference here, the East, North, South, West. And I think you should modify your drafting according to kind of what positional usages have been discussed here. So come back. We will continue our lessons here in the classroom. It's Dr. Bush signing off.